Hello again, friends, and welcome back to Hobart's Library. We are so glad to have you here. And today we are going to be talking about the books that I read in the month of August. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I was really struggling to come up with a video idea. I tried doing reading vlogs like 3 times. And honestly, I've been in a reading slump. And I've been trying to get out of it, and the first time I got out of it really quick, and I was like, okay, well, that's not much of a video, so I'm just gonna let it go, right? And then the second time, I didn't get out of it, and the third time, still not out of it. So I've been in a reading slump for a little bit now, working on getting out of that. But if you have anything that you would like to see me do, I would love to hear your suggestions, because I'm drawing a blank. It's getting hard, and we've only just started. All right, so this month, I read 8 books. 2 of them, you're probably not going to want to count. But I'm telling you, I count them, so they count. The first book that we read this month was The Beautiful Pretender by Melanie Dickerson. Oh my goodness gracious. If you haven't picked up a Melanie Dickerson book yet, it must be because you have not listened to anything that I've said about her. Because I cannot recommend them enough. They are so good. They're like medieval Christian fiction. They're romantic. They're fairy tale retellings. Oh my gosh. What is there not to love? So this one is about a young woman named Evelina. She is the maidservant to a young woman named Dorothy or Dorothea. I'm not really sure which one it is. The Margrave of Thornbeck has to find a bride, like really fast. The king is like, hey, here's some noblemen. Get with one of their daughters probably, right? And he's like, yeah, it's an alright idea. So he throws like a party, like a week-long party. I don't remember how long it was. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and he invites all these young women, right? But Lady Dorothea runs off with a knight. She's pregnant. She runs off with a knight. And so for some reason, the Earl of Plimwald, which is Lady Dorothea's father, decides, you know who I'm going to send? Evelina, her maidservant. And you're just going to have to pretend to be my daughter. Right? And her only objective is like try to figure out how to get the Margrave of Thornbeck on their side. If this fly doesn't leave me alone, we're gonna have to fight. Try to get the Margrave of Thornbeck on their side because they think that another army is going to invade them soon. So try to get the backing of the Margrave of Thornbeck and do not let the Margrave of Thornbeck fall in love with her. You should read it, but I'll let you guess what happens next. The next 2 books we read this month are the ones you're not going to want to count. But I don't care because I'm counting them. And that is Junie B. Jones and the Yucky Blucky Fruitcake, and Junie B. Jones and the Mushy Gushy Valentine. If you don't like Junie B. Jones, we're gonna have a problem. I discovered that people have an issue with Junie B. Jones as a character. Like, some Junie B. Jones books are like banned. Like, they're banned books because she's got like a bad attitude or something. Dog, she's a preschooler. What do you think preschoolers do? Do you think they're like model citizens? Have you ever met a preschooler? If preschoolers could commit arson, they would. They absolutely would. You do not... If you think Junie B. Jones is a particularly bad child, it's because either you don't know most preschoolers or you hate children. I don't know. She, like... Yeah, does she do disrespectful things? Does she, like, have a little bit of an attitude? Absolutely she does. Like a normal preschooler. That's part of what I like about her so much, is that she's not, like, I find that in a lot of books we like make these idealistic characters. Junie B. Jones is absolutely a morally gray protagonist. She's like, it's so funny to describe a preschooler like that. But she's like, yeah, I mean, does she do bad things? Yes, she's a preschooler. That's what they do. So Junie B. Jones and the Yucky Bucky Fruitcake is about, there is a carnival night at Junie B. Jones's school. And she is super duper excited to go for this. She thinks she is going to win all these different prizes. And it turns out she's bad at winning games. So then there's Junie B. Jones and the Mushy Gushy Valentine. And I like this one so much. Now, some people have an issue with it because it does play into that trope of like, the boy wasn't being nice to her because he liked her. And a lot of people don't like that because they say it teaches girls that if he's mean to you, that means he likes you. But I don't really mind that trope. So I'm fine with it. So Junie B. Jones and the Mushy Gushy Valentine is about Junie B. Jones' class for Valentine's Day. She calls it Valentine with an M. And Junie B. Jones receives a very large Valentine. And it's from her secret admirer. And she is determined to find out who it is. And so I read those two, and of course I loved them. I read these when I was a little kid. I don't remember the storylines of them, so they're just as fun to read now, if not even more fun. They're just really funny. The next book I read was An Uncommon Courtship by Christy Ann Hunter. I think I read that one on my phone. I think I read it as an ebook. So I don't have a physical copy. So here it is right here. I read the first book in that series. Don't remember the name of it. A Noble Masquerade, maybe? But I read the first book maybe a year or so ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. It might have actually been earlier this year, because I think I started listening, well, I know I started listening to it while I was at work. But I really, really enjoyed that book. So I didn't read the second book, which was about the younger sister, Georgina, because I didn't like Georgina. So I didn't care what happened to her. I'm sure I could figure it out on my own. She, marries the guy, whatever. But Trent, I really liked in the first book. I thought he was very scrappy. I thought he was very funny. So I really liked Trent. I was very interested to see how his love story would play out, especially given that he was marrying a woman who was very shy and sort of subdued, I guess is a word I would want to use. And it was so cool to see them both sort of open up and to see him in like a husband role and to see her sort of open up and become less shy and less reserved. That was really fun to see, but I think I gave that book 3 stars because I think it might have gotten a little slow and a little boring at times. I don't remember what all happened in that book, honestly. Yeah, I think that was one problem. It just wasn't really that memorable. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it a lot, but I want to give it time so that I can kind of forget about these characters. And then I want to read the last book in the story, which is about Griffith, because I really like Griffith. I think of all the siblings, Miranda and Griffith are probably my absolute favorite. I really like Griffith. I think he was responsible and smart and kind and loyal. I really like him, so I'm excited to read about his story. The next book that we read this month was Julie Claeson's The Painter's Daughter. You may have already heard me rave about this book if you watched my book haul, because this book put me in a reading slump. That's how good it was, because every time I wanted to pick up a book, I was like, it's not this one, though. It's not going to be as good as this one is. This book is about a young woman named Sophie Dupont, and her father is the town painter. And this artist named Wesley Overtree comes into their town, and he's there to paint their beautiful landscape, but he is more interested in Sophie than the landscape. And it seems to be going really well. I think he stays there for like a year or something, painting and doing all that stuff, and then he gets the opportunity to leave and go to Italy, and he takes it. And he leaves without saying goodbye to Sophie. He just leaves her a note that says, hey, this was fun. See ya. What he doesn't know is that Sophie is pregnant with his child. So, the next thing that happens is Captain Stephen Overtree is sent to retrieve his older brother Wesley by their parents because his father's health is declining a little bit, and send him back home. Stephen is very used to cleaning up after Wesley. He's the more responsible of the two. He's a captain in the military, and he is close to the end of his military leave. He has to go back to his regiment soon. Well, he tracks Wesley down to this town where he finds Sophie Dupont. And he very quickly figures out, oh crap, she's pregnant with my brother's baby. And being the most responsible, wonderful man in the whole wide world, he offers to marry Sophie, because that would offer her protection. It would offer her respect, because she wouldn't be a single mother, which this is in the 1800s. That would not be ideal. And, you know, everybody would just consider the baby to be Stephen's, and she wouldn't have to worry about it. And she would have his family's protection. And Sophie she really needs to get out of this situation. Did she get herself into the situation? Kind of, yes. But it's also Wesley's fault. So she kind of has to choose, and she does. And she says, yeah, I'll marry you. And things get, oh my gosh, you need to read this book. If you haven't read this book, you need to read this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I would have given it even more if I could have. In fact, what's stopping me? I give it 100 out of 5 stars. This book is wonderful. The next book that we read this month was Dear Henry, Love Edith by Becca Kinzer. This is another book that I really, really enjoyed. I don't know if I think I gave it 4 stars, but I really enjoyed this book. It was so funny. I was laughing out loud listening to the audiobook. It was so funny. It was so good. Like in the first few chapters, I was already laughing. So Edith Sherman had a really short and not great marriage, and then her husband passed away. She has decided at the ripe old age of 30, she's done with the whole idea. She's done with marriage. She's done with love. She just wants to go to Africa and help people. That's it, right? So she's waiting for the final paperwork for a humanitarian trip to South Africa, and she accepts a short-term nursing position in a small Midwestern town. I live in a small Midwestern town. How fun is that? And while she's there, she is staying with the uncle of a friend of hers named Henry Hobbs. And she's like, oh, sweet little old Henry. That's so sweet. That's so cute. I live with this like little old man, right? Well, Henry Hobbs, he hears Her name is Edith. She's a widow. She's a nurse. This sounds like an old woman, so he's assuming that Edith is an old woman, and she's assuming that Henry is an old man. And because she works during the night and he works during the day, they never see each other. But they start leaving letters for each other on the counter, just talking about their lives. And while they're in town, they keep bumping into each other, not knowing. And they really like each other. But they have no idea that they're living together. They have no idea that they're living with the attractive stranger in town. I really loved this book. I loved the characters. I thought the little misunderstanding... Usually I hate the misunderstandings trope. In this case, it was more funny than annoying. And, like, they weren't mad at each other about anything. They were just... You know, most misunderstandings causes them to, like, stop talking. In this case, it was a misunderstanding that they didn't even know was happening. So they were very much just going with the flow. It was so funny. It was very enjoyable. It was very sweet. It was very cute. And it was I liked it a lot. And I recommend it. You should read it. Next book that I read was A Bride in the Bargain by Deanne Gist. Again, I don't have that one, so I'm going to put it right here. This one, I don't remember a whole lot of. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars, so I really enjoyed it, but I should probably check out the main characters' names again, huh? Alright, so our main guy is named Joe, and in Seattle at the time, if he wanted to keep his land, he had to be married, right? The problem was he was married when he bought the land and started working it, and then his wife died, but he doesn't have her death certificate. So he can't prove that she's dead. So he needs to get married. Right? And so it's sort of a mail order bride situation. This young woman, Anna, is on the bride ship coming to Seattle. She doesn't realize it's a bride ship. She thinks that she is coming to be a cook. She's not. And she has completely sworn off marriage. Of course she has. What are the odds, you know? She's completely sworn off marriage. She said, nope, absolutely not. Will not be marrying anybody. So she thinks she's coming to be a cook. He thinks he's getting a wife. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good, but honestly, like, I remember really enjoying it. The problem is, I really don't remember that much of it, which is weird because I've read it this past month, but it just wasn't, I guess it was fine. I guess I would recommend it. I really don't remember a whole lot of it because it wasn't anything spectacular to me, you know? So I might lower my rating to a 3-star on that one just because I really didn't, I guess now that it's been a while, I really don't care about it. So, okay. The last book that I listened to the audiobook of was The Excellent Wife by Martha Peace. So, I wrote a whole review about how I feel about this book. So, The Excellent Wife by Martha Peace is it's not really a self-help book, but it's like a Christian, a quote, biblical perspective on how to be an excellent wife. There was a lot in this book that I thought was really, really good. A lot of advice in it that I thought was really solid, and that I thought was really helpful. I'm going to link my full review in the description of this video, because it's so packed full of stuff that I can't really get too far into it, but there was a lot of really good advice in this book, and there was also a lot of advice that was really not that great. I think I gave it 4 stars. I'm not sure. I think it's probably closer to 3.5, just because some of the advice that she gave in this book it could be pretty harmful. If, you know, it could be pretty harmful, especially to women in abusive situations, stuff like that. Because a lot of her advice is to just submit to your husband and do what he wants, and to be kinder, to be sweeter. And it's great to advise people to put others before themselves. It's great to advise people to put their spouse first. But a woman who's in an abusive relationship reading that, you know, what she needs to do is be kinder and be sweeter, that's not going to help her at all. It's probably going to make things worse. But I do also want to clarify that in chapter 18, she also does say that if you are in a situation where you are in danger, not to hesitate to call the police. So because there is chapter 18, I'm a little less... I'm just going to tag my review. I'm just going to tag my full review because I've got a list of pros and cons in this book. Do I recommend it? It depends entirely on the situation. I don't recommend it for everyone, but if I knew the woman and her husband in particular, then I could recommend it. But no, I don't recommend it for everybody. So anyway, that was kind of complicated. But that is all the books that I have read in the month of August. Can you believe it? I would have read more, but I swear for like weeks I've been in a reading slump. I only read The Excellent Wife because I had the audiobook on my Libby account and I could not for the life of me figure out what else to read. I have been struggling. I couldn't come up with anything. Every time I tried to pick up a book, I couldn't get into it. So if there's anything that you would like me to do on this channel, if there's anything that you would like to see on this channel, let me know and I'll give it a go. I think I have one in the works in my head right now. But so thank you for coming and hanging out with us for a little bit. We are so happy that you're here as always. Oh, also, I didn't mention it before, but I am in my work uniform because I have to work later. But anyway, it has been so nice getting to talk to you guys. Please let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what books you've read this month. I'd be really happy to talk about it with you. So I am going to go eat half a watermelon, I think. And then I'm going to relax because I do have to work all night. I will see you guys later. Bye.